morning, dear friends. It is so lovely to see you all today. Today is Thaipusam, and what an auspicious day to explore the literary, scriptural, spiritual, and anthropological connection between Murugan and Sangam literature. Lord Murugan is the primary deity of the Tamil festival Thaipusam and the Tamil identity, especially in India and Southeast Asia. A warm welcome to all. We'll start today's program with a prayer song by the champ Dash Venkatesh. I invite Dash to sing the prayer song.
Gurukuha Gurupada Kumara Dandapanaye Saravana Shanbuga Subramanya Swamiye Murugane Maindahi Mahadeva Balane Vendinan Vendine Valli Deva Yanaye. Thank you.
Thank you, my dear son, for rendering of the prayer song. Prayer is a symbol of hope. It bonds us in many special ways. The prayer we recite motivates us and brings us together. I request you all to raise your right hand. Instill in us, O Lord, the true meaning of friendship. Never let us forget that we are all thy children, notwithstanding the differences in our cultures and creeds. Endow us with the desire to serve our fellow men, remembering that we too often need help whenever and wherever the need of services arises. Help us to be ready to serve, endeavoring to make our badge of inner weal worthwhile, ensuring that we have not lived in vain. I request our President, Mrs. Bala Tirupura Sundari, to welcome the gathering.
வணக்கம். இந்த தைப்பூசமன்க்கு நம்ம இங்கெல்லாம் சேர்ந்து இருக்கிறது ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமா இருக்கு. I consider it my privilege to give a warm welcome on behalf of Inner Wheel Club of Madras Bay City. I extend a hearty welcome to our District Chairman Usha Saroki, Speaker and Judge of the Day Meenakshi Devaraj, District ISO Devi Madimaran, District Treasurer Arsi Ponmoli, PDC Swarnalata Jyotikumar, PDC Nalamai, PDC Latta Mahalingam. Hope I haven't missed any other PDCs. Co-presidents and fellow Inner Wheel members. The first thing in the morning a South Indian lady would do is clean the front yard and draw a kolam with rice flour. This is believed to welcome Goddess Lakshmi and drive away evil spirits. Drawing a kolam is a good physical exercise, strengthens the brain and backbone. Kolam with dots improves concentration, creativity, increases problem-solving capability. Kolam is considered one of the Panchamaha Yajnas, as this is Bhuta Yajna. Bhuta Daya, I would rather say. Kolam would provide food to ants, squirrels, crows, etc. We learn to share with all living beings. Today, we are going to witness how beautifully kolams are made even in this digital era. Today, being Thaipusam, we have an opportunity to hear about Lord Muruga. It is said that on this full moon day, Parvati has given her son Subramaniam the veil so that he could do Sora Samharam. Today, we have the opportunity to hear about the Lord from our speaker. I extend a hearty welcome to one and all for this occasion to witness the art of welcoming Goddess Lakshmi and drive away evil with Kolam and with the Namam of Murugan and his veil.
Thank you, Bala ma'am. Now I request our member, Mrs. Gargi, to introduce the judge and the speaker of the day, Mrs. Meenakshi Devaraj, formally.
Thank you, Daya. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to introduce Mrs. Meenakshi Devaraj, a historian in Sangam literature. A software engineer, out of interest and love for Indian culture, has grown to being a historian in this genre. She has written many research articles and given presentations on history and Sangam literature in both English and Tamil. Adding another feather to her cap, she's a Kolam enthusiast too and has done a lot of research on its history. She also runs a YouTube channel in her name, which has more than 100 videos on Tamil literature and history. Today, she's going to talk about Murugar in Sangam literature. Welcome, ma'am.
Thanks for the introduction. So as she said, this day is a very auspicious day, which marks Goddess Parvati giving the spear, the veil, to her son, Lord Muruga. So what I thought was, when I was approached for giving a speech on Sangam literature, I thought the best one would be to talk about Tirumurugatrupadai today. So generally, the name Muruga means yacht or beauty, and in Tamil, the landscapes have been divided into many parts. One such grouping is where you can find mountains and places which are adjacent to mountains. So Muruga is basically considered as the god who guides these people who live among the mountains, and so there are many pieces of Sangam literature which talk about Muruga, his spear, and his Devane, his Valli, and all other stories about him. But this literature piece, Tirumurugatrupadai, is a very important one. I'm sure all of you would have heard about the Arupadai Veedu, right? The 6 main temples of Muruga in Tamil Nadu. How did this particular grouping come, or who would have grouped this? All this comes from this particular Tamil literature piece called as Tirumurugatrupadai. It's the writer of Tirumurugatrupadai is Nakkirar. This person is the one who identifies this the 6 main places of worship for Lord Muruga. Aatrupadai is actually a group of literature pieces which are written to guide a person to a particular place, and there are many such literature pieces of Aatrupadai in Tamil. This particular literature piece, Tirumurugatrupadai, is a literature piece which guides the devotees to reach Lord Muruga. That's why it is called as Tirumurugatrupadai. So, Aru means, the way you come. So, generally you say Varalaru. Varalaru means the way you have come. So, this Tirumurugatrupadai, describes the way to attain Lord Muruga. So this particular literature starts with the introduction of Lord Muruga. It beautifully describes his bright appearance, his legs which actually save his devotees, his hands which destroy the evil spirits, and the Senkadambu Malai which he wears. You can see the Senkadambu flowers behind. And can you mute it? Okay, so it starts with the description of Lord Muruga and the Senkadambu Malai which he wears, and describes him as the husband of Devane. Soon after which, Nakkirat starts describing someone called as a Deva Magalit, the celestial woman. This description is really beautiful, and I'm sure you all would be very interested to hear this. He describes their, little feet, which are, where they wear salangai, and their chests, which look like bamboo sticks. Then he goes about describing their clothing. He says they wear clothing which is red in color, which floral prints in it, and the color in which they wear looks like this insect which I have put there, this red. So there was no artificial tinting to their sari. It had this particular color of the insect, and it had floral printing. And they wore something called as Meghalai, which is like the Odiyanam which we wear today, in their little vests. And all the jewels which they wore were made of a special gold, and that gold was called as Sambundam. See, this particular variety of gold is being mentioned in many places in Sangam literature. I don't know where it is now. And it is said that this particular gold is got from a place which has the juices of navel fruit mixed with it. And the river, they call the river as Sambu Nadi. And this particular gold, Samundam, is said to have come from that particular place, and it is a very high variety of gold. The celestial women are said to be wearing jewels which are made of this high variety gold. And then Nakira gets into how their hairdressing was done. So like all rich women of those days, their hair was actually, dressed with ghee. They applied ghee all over. And then he starts mentioning the flowers which were put on their hair. He says they were adorned with vechipu, then petals of kuvalai. Then he goes about talking about their talai alankaram. Even now we put some talai saman in their in our head, right? Here he mentions about two main jewels. One, he mentions about a Deva Utti, which is called as Devi. Another one he mentioned is Valamburi, which looks like a Valamburi Sangha. No idea what that jewel is, jewel can be mapped to the current jewels which we have now. But these jewels are again been mentioned in many places. Then he goes ahead mentioning about the chutti which she wears. The chutti we find even now. This chutti which she wears, which falls on her forehead, has a mouth. It's the chutti looks like the mouth of a soramin, and it's called as a Magaravai. And this beautifully scented forehead of her, she wears a bindi also. Apart from this, her hair is dressed into a bun. Around the bun, she's decorated with shenbaga flowers, maruga flowers, and buds of sengaruneer, which are inside the water. So this is all about her hairdressing. For her ears, she's wearing pindi flowers, which actually those pindi flowers are so long that they fall on her breast, and her breasts look like the buds of konkam flowers, and sandal paste is applied to her breast. Apart from applying sandal paste, pollens of vengai flowers are also applied to her breast. And they also apply tender leaves of Vilam trees, tender leaves of the Vilam tree. So all this is said about her dressing. So these celestial women are generally found, in the gardens which are near big mountains, and they are very well dressed like this, and they sing the praise of Lord Muruga, who has the sable in his flag. So this particular Muruga who sung by these celestial women wears gandal garlands. That these gandal garlands look like a fire, and he is the one who has the spear, the veil, which he used to destroy the demon Surabhatman. After this description, about the beautiful celestial woman and about Muruga, Nakira goes into describing Pei Pengal. Pei Pengal, nothing but female ghosts. These female ghosts, unlike the celestial women, they don't apply ghee or anything in their hair, and their stomach and all is very big, their eyes comes out, their teeth they have big gaps between their teeth. They don't look very pleasing to look at. Even these female ghosts have the skull of the asuras in their hand, and they also sing praising Lord Muruga, and they dance their Tunangai Kooth. Tunangai Kooth is a special kind of dance which is danced by the ghosts. And here he mentions that these ghosts played this particular dance in praise of Lord Muruga. Then he goes about saying, if you want to meet this Muruga, who is worshipped by the celestial woman and by the female ghosts, and who has all those properties, I will guide you to those places. So let's see let's see his description to the first place. He say, those days there was a habit of whenever a king wanted to say that I am ready for any war, they used to, make their flags hoisted very high, and they used to have balls and dolls hung up as well. So anyone who wants to attack them has to destroy these, which you will find in the front yard of the palace, then come and attack the king. So this particular place which he describes, called as Madurai, definitely the same Madurai as we see today, is also with all these items, but no one is ready to come and touch these, because this Madurai was being ruled by very வீரமுள்ள ஒரு மன்னர்களால it was being ruled. So இந்த மேற்கு புறமா, இந்த மதுரையோட மேற்கு புறமா இருக்கிற ஊர் தான் திருப்பரங்குன்றம். So Tirupparamkundram is the first place which he mentions in the Arubadai Veedu, which is found at the Merku of Madurai. And he says Madurai was actually filled with stalls which had full of Lakshmi Kadaksham in them, and it had tall mansions. Then he goes about describing the fields of Tirupparamkundram. He says he had lot of green fields which had lotuses and lilies. This lotus usually blooms in the morning and lilies bloom in the night. So there were bees which used to sleep in the lotus bud during the night, then wander around the lily plants during the day. So such was the fertility in Tirupparamkundram. So if you go to this Tirupparamkundram, you can see Lord Muruga. So he identifies the first place where Muruga is there. So Tirupparamkundram, it has the same name today as well. So most of the literatures, it is being described as Venkundram, and it is believed that it is here where Lord Muruga got married to Devani. Then he goes about describing the second place. When he describes the second place, he starts describing the elephant, which is the Vahana of Lord Muruga. He says how it was, it had pattai and all on his head, and how fast the elephant could walk, and how strong it was, like the Yamadharma. So Lord Muruga used to, come in this vehicle around the world. And Lord Muruga had very beautiful hairdo called as Aimpadai. So his hair basically was decorated in 5 ways, all beautiful 5 ways, which were found, which are generally mentioned in the Sangam literature. And his hair also had beautiful gems, which were at his ears, with beautiful gold ornaments. And the beauty of Muruga could be seen even from distant places. So beautiful and radiant Lord Muruga was. And then Nakirar goes about mentioning the Arumugams. We generally talk about the Arumugam of Murugar, right? So this is the place where Nakirar mentions about the 6 phases of Muruga, and he actually mentions the purpose of each of the 6 phases of Muruga here. Then he goes about mentioning the 12 hands of him. Again, he mentions what all are being held in the 12 hands of Muruga and the purpose of it. Then with Muruga, with all these properties, comes into Tiruchendur. So Tiruchendur is the second place where which is identified as the Arubadai Veedu. So here Muruga comes flying into this place with few, as he comes flying, he says there are few musical instruments which are being played around. So one music instrument which is played around is the Antara Palliyam, which is actually a celestial music instrument. Kumbu, Sangu, Murasu. Apart from all these music instruments which he mentions, the peacock also makes noise. The peacock found in Muruga's flag also makes noise. So with all these, welcome, Muruga comes flying from the sky, and he stays in Tiruchendur. So this is the second Arubadai Veedu. Then he goes about describing the third Arubadai Veedu. So the third Arubadai Veedu is the place where, saints and, celestial women who play the yard instruments, Lord Vishnu, Lord Rudra, Lord Indra, then the 33 Devas, 18 Budaganas, all stand and worship. This particular, Arubadai Veedu is called as Avinan Kudi, which is called as Parani today, but the Avinan Kudi, which is mentioned in the Tamil literature, is not the Parani temple which you find on top of the hill now. The Avinan Kudi is actually a temple which is down the Parani hill, and this was the one which was identified as, one of the Arubadai Veedu by the Tamil literature. But now we know the Parani on top of the hill more than the Avinan Kudi. But there are some people who say the word Parani actually signifies all the Muruga temples which are around that area. That is Avinan Kudi, the Muruga who is on top of the hill, plus 2 more temples. But the Avinan Kudi, which is sung by the Tamil literature, is the one which is found below the mountain. Then he goes about describing the next Arubadai Veedu. Here he describes about the Antanar, the Brahmins, who actually do their 6 duties, and who spend their 48 years in good deeds, who are capable of conducting 3 kind of yagnas, mutti, and who wear punul. So he actually goes about mentioning all of their characters, positive characters of the Andanar, and he says, Lord Muruga actually waits for these Andanars, and he's very pleased to hear these Andanars, these Brahmins, mention the 6-word Shadakshram Mantram of his, that is the Saravana Bhava. So Muruga is so pleased to hear them mentioning Muruga is so pleased to hear them mentioning this mantra by them, and flowers being offered by them. So just to hear this, he is he's placed in Swami Malai, which is the 4th Arubadai Veedu. So as we know, Swami Malai is there even today. Then the next description of his goes about mentioning about a Veriyadal. In many Sangam literatures, you have this concept of Veriyadal, where when a girl falls in love, mostly it might be even, she might even be fallen in love with Lord Muruga. So if she had fallen in love with Lord Muruga, that girl is said to be, called as Murugu Pidithirukku. She's completely fallen in love with him. So they, mention it as Muruga Pidichirukku அப்படினு சொல்லுவாங்க. So the parents won't know about this. They bring a pujari to find out what happened to this girl. This pujari is called as Velan, and this pujari will come and perform a ritual called Veriyadal, through which he'll be able to find out what is in mind of this girl and bring her to the normal state. So this entire concept is called as Veriyadal, and this Velan who comes, the pujari who comes, is actually considered as Lord Muruga himself. So here he mentions about the Velan, how all he's dressed. So he's generally dressed with a tailed pepper, with some jadikai, venkudalam and other flowers. And with the Kuravars and the people who are found next to the mountains, he plays the Kuravai Kuthu. Again, this is a special kind of dance item. So, generally in a mountain place, you find all of, these kind of activities taking place. And in these places, you can find Lord Muruga. So actually what Nakira says is, in all these kind of kundra, in all these kind of mountains, you can find Lord Muruga there. So, it's called as Kundrudor Adal. But, in later years, this particular people called this particular place or identified this place as Tirutani, but he has not mentioned it as a single place. He just says generally in all these kind of mountains where you find these kind of activities, Lord Muruga will be there. But it has been treated that this particular place he mentions is Tirutani. Then he goes about describing a place where you can find, white waterfalls, which look like white flags. So as these waterfall, comes down, they carry lot and lots of fruits, flowers, and they destroy many, many plants. And as they come down, bringing all these juices and plants, which is called as Padamudircholai. So this is the 6th Arubadai Veedu of Muruga, and this is how it's been described in the literature as well. So this is how, Nakirar has brought out this classification of the 6 Arubadai Veedu, which is in practice till now. And today being a Thaipusam day where, Parvati had presented this spear veil to Lord Muruga. I'm happy that I got an opportunity to share this origin of the Arubadai Veedu in Tamil literature.
Thank you, Meenakshi ma'am. Thank you for briefing us about how in Sangam literature the Lord Muruga is glorified, is popularly known as the Tamil god.
Do you have any questions?
Thank you so much, madam. You have explained in English.
Yeah, because most of the audience, I prepared for Tamil only. Then I changed to English.
I understood that.
I have a question, Savitri, madam. I thought peacock was the Vagana of Lord Muruga. When you were describing, you showed an elephant and you said that he came around the world on the elephant. But even in Thiruvilayadal and movies, which we could relate to the story better, in those days, it was shown as a Muruga. Even in our dance school and all, we show peacock as the Vagana. So I just wanted to know what the significance of the elephant is.
In old literature pieces, they have put the elephant as the Vagana. And talking about Thiruvilayadal, the A.P. Nagarajan's movie, where even they talk about the mango being gifted to Lord Muruga, actually that particular story, I don't know where he picked it from, because that story is not there in any literature.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know where the origin of that particular story at all. When talking about the Vahanas, later point, given the peacock has been brought into the picture. So you can take, the elephant as well as the peacock. There are some places which mention that the peacock was found in the flag. As I told you, in it says that peacock was in the flag, but there are other places which mention peacock as the Vahana as well.
Got a good insight into this story, because people like me would never know. One, I cannot read Tamil, and in such in-depth knowledge we won't get, unless you read or listen to somebody who has read about it. So thank you so much for this information.
My pleasure.
In fact, our knowledge is limited to Thiruvalayadal.
Yeah, but the story mostly which is told in Thiruvalayadal is a story.
And that movie was taken so nicely.
Yeah, definitely.
Number of times. Yeah, that's true.
So the fact that Muruga got angry because he was not given the fruit, and that's why he went on top of the hill, and that's why all the
He was not given
not-
the fruit, no?
It's not given in any literature. Either
Okay.
history mainly you can rely upon only when it is found in our literature, because our literature is very, very rich.
Yeah.
Or you have to go through by the inscriptions. So nowhere, I don't think there is a mention about this.
I have a feeling that this story actually evolved later on, in later stages, to show this Mata Pita Guru Devam, that the Mata and Pita are the first gurus. You're all in all. Other depict Pandrathakaha, some good writer, storyteller has developed this story, and that is how this mango story probably came about. Like how the mango was given, and then it was said that it will be given to the person who goes around the world fast, and and he traveled in the peacock, and then Vinayagar just went around his mother and father, and it was done. He was given the mango, and so he got upset, and then he went away and all that. But probably it is to depict that your Mata Pita comes first and above everyone. Yes,
Let me, good morning, and thank you so much for explaining it so beautifully. I just read in some place that this peacock is being given to Lord Muruga by his mama Vishnu as a presentation.
Okay.
So because he wanted to, he was guiding as a Senadipati for the entire, the Indra and all of them, guiding them against these demons. So when he got victory, he was presented first the peacock by his Vishnu. So then from that day onwards, he used the peacock as his Vahana. That's what I have read. Okay, so it has been presented by Lord Vishnu.
Now we'll announce the Kolam competition, Pulli Kolam competition results. So now recently Indian Americans, to welcome the US President-elect and VP elected, used thousands of Kolam tiles in US Capitol. A Kolam is an Indian art form of geometric pattern which is used as a sign to welcome, drawn outside the houses, beautiful designs made of dots and lines. It provides a feeling of joy and peace to all who enter. Now, traditionally handcrafted with rice flour, Kolam is inclusive and environmentally friendly. Now, Pulli Kolam. Pulli Kolam is an ubiquitous art form of in South India. It involves drawing a line looped around the collection of dots, pulleys, placed on a plane surface such that 3 mandatory rules are followed. All lines, orbits should be closed. All dots are encircled and no 2 lines can overlap over the finite length. When we announced about the Pulli Kolam competition, we received about 18 entries for the same. We congratulate all the participants for their enthusiastic participation. Ma'am, Meenakshi ma'am, now I request you to announce the winners of the Pulli Kolam competition. I will also share the PPT, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
The first one is Jamuna Rani Gopi from IWC Nanganallur. It was a perfect Tamil Nadu Pulli Kolam with the yellow pusani and all placed on it.
Ma'am, I'll play her video also. This is a short video.
Okay.
சாரி உடுத்திந்து போடுறதுக்கே ஒரு ஸ்பெஷல் பிரைஸ் கொடுக்கணும் போல் இருக்கே.
The second prize is to Kalarani Yes of IWC Madras South.
Congratulations, Kala.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
The third prize is to Lalita Raghupati of Inner Wheel Club of Madras. Congrats.
Congratulations, Lalita.
Congratulations,
Lalita.
Thank you. Nice traditional
It
kolam.
was very neat.
And we have to see her age. In that age, the enthusiasm is unbelievable.
Only this.
Yeah, ma'am has to announce. Congratulations, Danvi.
Thank you.
Danvi.
Yeah, there are two special
So
mentions.
proud of you, Da.
One special mention is to Danvi. She was dressed so beautifully when she, did her kolam. So more than the kolam, I was looking at her.
Yes.
Cute.
Beautiful, Danvi.
It was such a dedicated effort from you.
So sweet, you look. Sweet.
Very pretty.
अरे वाह.
Oh, Pongal, huh?
So beautiful.
Vasu, one big hug to her, da.
Yeah.
Congrats, Danvi.
She has overcrossed you, Vasu.
Yeah. Right from we went for Pongal vacation onwards, daily she only used to put. Her granny encouraged a lot actually, not me.
Good.
The next special mention is to Sri Ram, who is cousin of Revati Sivakumar, the Chennai president. Generally, kolam considered as a woman affair, so we need to encourage, men also into this. So, as a token of that, we give a special mention to Sri Ram. And it is very neat as well.
Beautiful.
Not a simple one.
Very neatly done.
He has
Yes,
also
very
done a very neat job.
Congratulations, Sri Ram, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you, District Chairman Usha Sarogi. Thank you, Meenakshi ma'am, for the wonderful topics for discussing with us. Thank you, District Treasurer Arasi Ponmali. Thank you, District ISO Devi Madhimaran ma'am. Thank you all PDCs like Nallamai Ramanathan, PDC PDC Lata Mahalingam, PDC Swarnalata Jyoti Kumar, PDC Radha Ranganathan, PDC Radha Shankar Krishnan, PDC Sushila Natarajan, all the presidents, members, contestants, winners, Inner Wheel Club of Madras for providing us the Zoom link, and thank you everyone for attending this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Aarti. Do you have any secretary announcements to be made?
Our next meeting will be on February 9th. Thank you.
Thank you, Aarti. Jai Hind.
Well done, Bala.
Jai Hind.
Thank you.